watching me how to cook my fish today. I actually went to the Chinese market and I saw these beautiful yellow pompano. So fish here, it has a sort of a yellow color. It looked really fresh, so I got some and I'm going to teach you how to do it. I know some of you are not used to seeing fish with the head on or the tail on. Usually it's fillet, but in Chinese cooking, usually we take the whole fish. And there's actually a Chinese saying that, that says you want to start from the head to the toe, right? So it sort of talks about the continuity. So that's why when we eat fish, we always want to have the head and the tail. If you're not used to it, you can certainly cut the head off and that's totally fine. So this way it's not so scary looking that the eye is kind of staring at me. So, so I like yellow pompano because my parents were the one that introduced yellow pompano to me. Didn't really know much about the fish, but you can see here it's very sturdy. It's not one of those flaky fish that falls apart very quickly because today's cooking requires some stewing of the fish so the flavor can get into the fish. And so you want to use a fish, it doesn't have to necessarily be this one, but you definitely want to use a fish that is sturdy, that the meat is very solid, right? So then it doesn't fall apart when you cook it. So first thing, I want to show you how I prepare the fish, because you do want to marinate it a little bit to get rid of the fish smell. And in doing so, what I do is, obviously this fish is cleaned up. When you get it from the you have different options that you can choose from to clean your fish. And this one, it's I told them to obviously take the gut out and leave everything else. The top into just some slices so that like this, you see that? So I just slice it up a little bit right to the bone. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. And so the reason I'm doing this is because when I marinate this, we want to make sure that you want to salt the fish. And so in these creeks that I cut open, you want to put some salt in there, obviously the inside. And so we're going to spread this all around. And then next, I'm going to spread some black pepper all over the fish. Okay, and then I'm going to put some on the inside here. And then the next step is also a very important step. This is the Chinese cooking wine, the Shaoxing cooking wine. And cooking wine is important as part of mayonnaise because the cooking wine gets rid of the fish, that fish. Spread it a little bit over inside, a little bit on the other side, and you want to spread it all over. And let it go into the body of this fish. We're massaging a little bit. Looking at Yaya over there, she's smiling at me. It's always good when your kids can watch you how to cook and hopefully they will learn from you, right? So, okay, so we're just gonna let this sit for a little bit. Usually 15 minutes, not too long. You don't have to marinate it for too long. It's just to get that stinky smell out of the fish. So I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. And over here, what I actually have prepared, I actually bought two today, so I've been actually marinate this one ahead of time so I can actually show you how to cook it. So this has been sitting around marinating for about 15 minutes. And so I'm going to bring it over here. This is my other ingredients. Oil. Remember this one? This is the 郫县豆瓣, that spicy bean paste that I cook my tofu with. So we're going to use the same thing here. That's why it's spicy. It's got garlic and it's going to be very spicy and flavorful. Some soy sauce. This one is a new ingredient that I'm introducing to you. This is an oyster sauce. It's very flavorful. You can use this for multiple different things. Use it for fish today. You can also cook it with, noodles, vegetables. They're very, very flexible in terms of usage. This one is actually Chinese vinegar. So you don't have to necessarily use Chinese vinegar if you don't have it. But this one is made out of rice. It's got a dark color. Some of you might know this as dark vinegar, black vinegar. So this one is key because it's going to also help develop the flavor and get rid of the fish smell. The other things that I have here are garlic, ginger, and green onion. very important for Chinese cooking. As you can tell that from some of the other shows that I've done before, these three things are always the right combination when it comes to Chinese cooking. So you want to make sure you have the gingers and the garlic and the green onions available for you. Oh, and by the way, I was so excited today that I found these huge, again, in the Asian market, I found these huge green onions. Oops, the leaf just dropped. These green onions are very different, right? I was excited because when I lived in China back in the day, this is what I grew up with, not the scallions, onions. And so these are, they're just a little bit more sweeter, and that flavor of the green onion is much more potent compared to scallions. So I was excited to find them. They were 99 cents for a lunch. So anyway, so let's get the flat pan. So I'm going to use a flat pan because we're going to fry the fish first. And so using a flat pan helps with that process. So in my pan, I'm heating it up. I'm going to put some oil in. You want to swirl it around. Put my pan up. So we're going to like this. Oh, by the way, the other thing, guys, is hot water. Hot water is important because we want to make sure we have hot water to cook the fish in. Okay? So, oil is heating up. And so, all I'm doing is I'm going to take this marinated fish that I did earlier, and I'm not putting any kind of flour. A lot of times people cook it, they put flours on it. I don't use that because the fish is sturdy enough that I don't need anything to hold it together. So I'm just going to shake off the excessive the cooking wine, and I'm going to put it in the pan and skim down and start frying the fish. So we're going to let this sit on one side for about, depends on how hot your pan is. So what we want to do is make sure it's golden color on one side, and then we're going to flip it over and cook the other side. Ooh, just turn it down just a little bit because it's starting to. I know fish is always very difficult to cook, and I wasn't really good at it. So I think that the key here is to make sure that you find the fish that you like, and also not to overcook it. And for this particular recipe, it's very easy actually. And it takes awesome because you've got all the garlic, all the green onions, all the ginger, and all of the other ingredients that I put in is flavorful. Take a look. So see how it's starting to turn golden color? I'm just gonna let it fry for maybe a minute more, and then we're going to flip it to the other side. The Chinese cooking wine is used for a lot of times for any kind of, because I guess the alcohol, the cooking wine's alcohol really gets rid of that, the meat stinky smell, and so a lot of times when you see the pre-treatment of things like the fish or the pork, you want to use a cooking wine so that that stinky smell of the meat actually is getting rid of. Okay, so I'm going to flip this. Woo, look. Nice and golden. I'm going to turn up just a little bit. Now the eye turned white because it's cooked out. Again, if you're too scared of having the fish head on there, totally understand. You don't have to cook it exactly the same way as I am. But you know, if you're trying to use filet to do this, probably it's going to be overcooked very quickly, and I don't know whether the recipe will hold itself. This whole fish obviously has all the bones, it adds all the flavor. But getting rid of the head. Okay. We're just going to let it sit for a few more minutes. This little guy. Thank you for your sacrifice. My kids actually love this fish because it's just so incredibly flavorful. Usually, you know, they don't like as much spicy as obviously she and I do, but for this particular one, I think that just the fish in itself is so meaty, and once it adds all the flavor, it just it's incredibly delicious. And so they add this fish. I actually have to cook the other one because I usually one whole fish is not. The skin is turning golden color. So what I'm going to do is actually just leave it to the side because I still have some residual oil in the pan. And the next thing I'm going to do is adding my garlic, my onion, and my ginger into the pan. I'm telling you, ginger, garlic, onion, the flavor is just unbelievable. I wish there's a smell camera so you can smell the flavor. So I'm turning my heat up just a little bit. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna add is the fermented hot pepper bean paste to this. So I add a lot because again, you know, we like a little bit more spicy than some other people. So I added about 2 tablespoons, I think. So I'm gonna saute this around so that start swirl the fish over a little bit. So you can see this thing, see, it doesn't fall apart, right? Because this fish is just so incredibly sturdy. And you want this kind of fish because once you start stewing, you don't want it to just start apart. And so this is great fish for this type of cooking. And then the next thing is I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce. Remember the red pepper paste is already really salty, so you don't want to add too much soy sauce. Adding a little bit of this oyster sauce. That's about a teaspoon. So again, swirl it around a little bit. Whew. Watch it because it starts splattering a little bit. Okay. Okay, so now all these sauces and all the ingredients are mixing together. I'm going to start adding my hot water. And we want to just add it so that it is fish, okay? So not fully covering the fish, but around the middle of it. And we're going to let it start stewing. This is when I start adding the vinegar. And again, it's to get rid of the fish smell, but also adds the flavor. And then the last thing that I want to do, which I forgot, is some sugar. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. Sugar enhances the flavor, and so I want to make sure we add that to it. Now,
oh. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It's not going into the fish, that's for sure.
No.
Okay, so sauce. Oh, look at that. So we want to pour the sauce on top of the fish so that the top part also gets the flavor. The bottom is cooking, obviously, and the top also gets the flavor as well. Just push the fish over just a little bit. This way. Then tilt the pan so that I can get all the liquids. This smells so good. I wish you guys could smell this. So we're just going to pour it on top. The other thing about it, right, so the one thing that you notice here is that I'm never going to flip the fish, unlike when I'm frying it. Not going to flip the fish when I'm cooking this, and the reason is because that's where the superstition comes in. Because people had said that when you flip a fish, usually that means your whole world will go upside down. And so, in a bad way. So they're very, the advice is to not to flip your fish, and even when you're eating it. So when you're eating it, you almost want to eat the top first, get the bones out, and then eat the bottom part, rather than eat the top, flip it over, and eat the other side. Again, it's that, just the superstition of, hey, don't flip your world upside down. I don't know, maybe there's historically some people have had that experience after eating their fish. Anyway, not sure if it's true or not, but I guess we'll keep the tradition alive. Okay, so this is gonna continue to cook. I'm actually going to put the lid on for a few minutes. Cook. Turn this onto about medium heat and let it stew for about 5 to 10 minutes. And this way, the inside of the fish will cook through, and you will end up with a really delicious looking piece of goldfish. So, any questions so far? As you can see, it's pretty not difficult at all, right? And it's not so scary. I think my cousin texted me before. She's like, "Oh, good. I don't know how to make fish. I want to really learn it." So it's a very simple recipe, as long as you have all the ingredients that you need. Again, Asian markets have everything that you want. I actually got a lot of things today when I went to Asian market. There was a lot of people, obviously, but they were very good about, because of the COVID-19, they make sure that not everybody's going into the store all at the same time. But I did get some pork belly, which I like to show you guys tomorrow if you're around, how to do the twice cooked, is it called twice cooked pork belly? So tune in tomorrow. Probably it's going to be around 5 o'clock also. It's going to be really yummy and delicious. And then I got a bunch of other just fresh vegetables. One thing that I really enjoyed from a vegetable standpoint is that they actually have the sweet potato stems. I don't know if any of you have ever had it before. It's actually very healthy for you, and it cooks very easily. All you have to do is, put in oil and garlic and a little bit of Shaoxing wine, and you'll be done with it. So one of these days I'll show you guys how to do that as well. So anyway, if you have a chance, check out the Asian market. There's lots of goodies. So I just open it up, and you can see that the sauce is actually starting to thicken. See the coloring? Red, all the garlic, all the ginger, all the green onions, just the flavor. So good. Just let the sauce the liquid starting to evaporate. And once it's ready, because the sauce is starting to thicken, unlike the other liquid before, which is watery. Now it's starting, because of the sugar that I put in there, obviously starting to caramelize, and again, we're gonna let this flavor just develop all over the fish here. This is probably one of the best meals you ever have. Okay, so you can see here that the liquid's starting to be, and the sauce is starting to thicken. folks. Okay. See how the sauce is starting to really thicken itself? Wow. Okay. And I think we're good. See? I just want you to see the consistency of this. It's starting to get really thick. So I am going to turn this off. Fish plate out. I have a plate just for fish. See the shape of it? Thanks to my mom. Mom, thank you. And Dad, thank you for my beautiful fish plate. And I'm gonna put it. There's right over here. Oh guys, this is so awesome, so delicious. Ta-da! Beautiful, red, yummy, gorgeous looking fish. I'm gonna just get the rest of this garlickiness. Put it on top. What do you think? And it's so quick, right? It's so quick. It doesn't take forever. Fish is easy to cook. And so this particular recipe, I hope you enjoy it and hopefully you can replicate it if you have any questions. And hopefully it tastes good. We're gonna start